Geneva, the second city of Switzerland. From here on you find many trains to all over Switzerland and also quite some international trains. We'll be taking a TGV Lyria high-speed train to Paris, the capital of France. This train will take a scenic route through the Alps before joining the high-speed line that will bring us at 300 km per hour to Paris. The best part of this all, I'm taking you guys with me. So join me on board of this TGV Lyria train between Geneva in Switzerland and Paris in France. If you like this video or this is a helpful video to you, please give me a thumbs up. If you want to ask any questions or even if you just want to say hello, feel free to leave a comment. And if you'd like to see more trip reports about a more sustainable way of transportation, hit the subscribe button. If you don't want to miss anything, also hit the bell icon. This channel is mainly focusing on long distance and or cross-bordering traveling to show you what it's like to travel on a more sustainable way of transportation. This is mainly by train. Well, this is both a long distance and an international train, so it ticks both boxes. But for now, let's just roll the intro. And just like any trip report, I'll start off by showing you the railway station where I departed from, what is the main railway station of Geneva. If you're not interested in that, you can also skip to the train straight away and you find chapters for this on YouTube. There's a good public transportation system in Geneva, but I also noticed Donkey Republic, a bike sharing program that I'm using quite a lot, and it's great to see this in other cities as well. Before we dive into the station, let's discover around the railway station a bit. And at the front there's a big parking garage and also an underground shopping mall, and right above that you find some tram and bus stops. Some more tram stops and also bus stops can be found at the side and at the back of the railway station. Especially if you take these buses, some of these buses do stop for one direction at the front of the railway station and to the other direction at the back of the railway station. I was a little bit confused when it comes to this, and that doesn't happen often in Switzerland. But apart from that, directions have been marked crystal clear, and at all tram and bus stops I noticed that there were vending machines for tickets as well. Not only here at the main railway station, but also at the tram stops in the city center. For the bus stops I honestly don't know, I didn't pay enough attention for this, but if you know this, just let me know in the comments. If you need to be in the city center of Geneva, it's a very walkable distance from the railway station, so basically you don't need to take public transportation. At the underground section at the square at the front of the railway station, there's a kind of underground shopping mall what is really good integrated within the railway station. And right under that, there's a parking garage for cars. If you arrive here by bike, there are some spots where you can park your bike as well, but it didn't impress me, but maybe this is just me being a Dutch guy. Anyway, I think you have an impression of the direct surrounding area of the railway station, so let's go inside the railway station. And if you stand at the front, this entrance here looks a little bit like the main entrance. You find some vending machines for train tickets over here. However, if you go to the railway tracks, you have to move a little bit to the left or the right. I really like these paintings with the line maps for both trains within Europe, but also domestic trains in Switzerland. Geneva being on the edge of the French-Swiss border and basically being surrounded by France is really an international city. You find lots of trains and especially to France, but you also find international trains to Italy for example. Anyway, something I really like about Swiss railway stations are the ticket counters. You don't go here just to buy tickets or to get route information, but you can also buy, for example, railway related souvenirs, and pretty often you can also exchange money within these ticket counters. By the way, the infrastructure for buying your tickets online is very good within Switzerland, and especially for the train that I'll be taking in this video, but also if you travel domestically, it can be very useful to buy your tickets in advance, because last minute you probably pay the full price, and for the specific train that I'll be taking, it might be fully booked, because there won't be sold more tickets as there are seats available. Apart from the change office at the ticket counters for railway tickets, I also noticed another change office. And of course, it's a bigger railway station, so if you want to store your luggage, you can do this as well. There are basically two underground passages that will go from the front or the back of the railway station to the tracks. However, direct access for the track for the train that I had today wasn't there directly, but I'll show you in a bit. There are some waiting rooms as well, and I only found this waiting room actually. This is if you go at the front of the railway station to the middle level, so not fully to the platform yet. And there you find a waiting room. Of course, this is a Swiss railway station, so directions have been marked crystal clear. Screens throughout the railway station will host information about departing trains, and also line maps and timetables, and even maps of the station can be found everywhere. In terms of facilities, the railway tracks themselves don't host that much. This is basically just a place where there are some places where you can take a sit and wait. And at some railway tracks you also find some shops, but it's very minimal. I didn't notice the first class lounge in this railway station. If you know if it's there, let me know in the comments, but I don't think so. Anyway, I think you have an impression of the railway station. You find 2 tunnels where you find some shops, and at the front and at the back there are some shops and railway related services. I noticed that some of the trains to France do depart from other platforms, and then specifically the trains towards Lyon and Paris. To Lyon you find a very good regional connection. For that route I noticed that they were both using Corail trains that I really like, and I will also take from Paris to the Belgian border on the way back home. And also a little bit more modern train sets, as you can see here on the right, what is a regional train towards Lyon. However, we'll be taking a TGV Lyria high-speed train today that will go to Paris and doesn't go to Lyon. It will go north from Lyon and then join the high-speed line near Macron to Paris. I'll give you more information about the route when I show you the views from the train. But for now, let's go to the moment at the morning that I took this train. Most of the previous shots I recorded this when I was the day before at the railway station. This is a map of all destinations where you find direct trains from and to from the railway station of Geneva. The color indicates the travel time, so the more it is towards red, the longer the travel time. And this also shows that distance and travel time are never ever related if you're traveling by train, and especially not if you take high-speed trains. The trains to some domestic destinations within Switzerland need more time than the high-speed train that I'll be taking, for example. Anyway, time to move towards my track, and I already mentioned there is a little catch when it comes to this. My train was listed to depart from track number 8, so obviously I went there. However, while I wanted to go there, I found out that only one of the 2 tunnels under the railway station that provides tracks to the platforms is gaining access to these 2 tracks, 7 and 8. There's really a special entrance, and right before you go there are some vending machines for train tickets and a small waiting room. But you also find customs, well, at least a place where custom formalities can take place. Both Switzerland and France signed the Schengen Treaty, so custom formalities won't take place that frequently, but every now and then this might happen, or they might pick out passengers. It's rather impressive, I have to say. There's a special area for both the Swiss and the French customs, and this place is rather big. Right after that there are some more waiting areas, and well, that's basically it. I mean, this place is not that special. There are screens with information about departing trains in general, but also from the specific platforms 7 and 8, and there's a public toilet at this spot. What surprised me in a way is that I didn't find these customs for the local trains that will go to Annemasse in France. Annemasse is basically one of the outskirts of Geneva, but it is in France. I made a trip report on a local train from Saint-Maurice in Switzerland to Annemasse as well, that goes straight along the lake of Geneva. What is really pretty, I have to say. To the platform there's an elevator, a ramp, and of course you find stairs. And as you can see, at the moment I arrived here, my train wasn't there yet. You'll find special screens at the platform that will host information about the train composition, so you know more or less what carriage of the train will be where at the platform. This is pretty standard in Switzerland, by the way, and also for trains that even can't be reserved, like for example this local train between Switzerland and France that was at the platform 7 when I arrived here. At the platform you find letters, and right above the composition screen you find letters close to the carriage numbers, so you know more or less what carriage will be where at the platform. TGV Lyria is the brand of the high-speed trains and a cooperation of both the Swiss and the French state-owned railway companies between Switzerland and France, mainly to Paris, and in the summertime there are also trains to the south of France. This is a network map. We'll be taking the train from Geneva to Paris. However, before I show you the train, let's have a close look on the environmental impact if you're traveling by train, car and plane on the route Geneva to Paris. And the train is the ultimate winner on this route, both in travel time, but especially when it comes to the environmental impact. The train needs around 3 hours and 8 minutes for the direct connection between Geneva and Paris from city center to city center, covering a distance of about 409 kilometers. And even then, this is not for the entire route a high-speed line. So imagine what the travel time will be if this will be fully a high-speed line. When it comes to carbon dioxide, the train is 99.35% less polluting than making the same journey by plane. Even though when it comes to energy resources, the train is only 85.5% less polluting than taking the plane on this route. Because the train has different energy resources, so for example green sustainable energy, the total carbon footprint of the train is way lower than taking the train and also the car. As a matter of fact, I seriously don't understand why people even take a plane between Geneva and Paris. I mean, if we want to transform our society to a more sustainable society, I think the first thing we can stop with are these short-haul flights that are easy to replace by train. I mean, the aviation has a big mouth when it comes to sustainability. However, so far they haven't met even one goal they set by themselves when it comes to sustainability. Anyway, enough of that, because I can go on about this topic for way too long. And this is my train coming in at the railway station of Geneva. And as some of you already maybe noticed, it's not a TGV Lyria but a TGV Inouï high-speed train. TGV Inouï high-speed trains, or the regular high-speed trains you can find in France. However, the main difference is the branding at the outside of these trains. The interior and the icons at the side of the train are basically the same. So let's have a quick look on the outside of the train. And there's not that much to say. It's a double-deck train and the numbers 1 and 2 at the side do indicate if you're in a second or a first class carriage. Apart from that, these trains do always come including a seat reservation, and therefore right next to the entrance doors you'll find a screen that will host obviously route information for the train number, the class number as well, and also the carriage number. As you maybe already noticed, this is a double-deck train. At the moment you enter the trains, it has been clearly marked what seats can be found at the lower deck and what seats can be found at the upper deck. If you want to walk through this train, you have to do this via the upper deck, and also near all stairs that will lead from the entrance doors to the upper deck, it has been clearly marked what carriages are into what direction. At the moment you need to walk through the train. And just in case you missed the class number at the moment you enter the train, you will be reminded about the class as well, as you can see here in the middle. In general, I try to be as early as possible at the railway station so I can film in as empty as possible train, but that wasn't really possible over here because the train arrived relatively short before departure. Anyway, for the train tour, I will start off by showing you the second class. This comes in a 2x2 configuration, so 2 seats on both sides of the aisle, and there's a mix of bay seats, so seats facing each other, and airline style seats. This is a long distance train, so of course you find a lot of space for luggage between the compartments, but also at the end of most compartments and between the carriages. And something else, between the back ends of the seats you can store quite a lot of luggage. A lot of people forget about this. Because this is a double-deck train, the overhead luggage racks are really tiny. The overhead luggage racks are there, but can only be used for small luggage, a coat or an umbrella for example. For now, let's do a seat tour of the second class seats, and I'll start off with the airline or long distance bus seat compositions. You'll find a small litter bin between the seats in front of you, and right above that there's a power socket. At the seat in front of you there's quite a big and sturdy fold-out table, and right above that there's a magazine rack. Like I mentioned before, tickets for these trains do come including a seat reservation, and right above the seats under the luggage racks you'll find the seat numbers and also a personal reading light. All windows both in first, second class and the upper and the lower deck do have a sunscreen, and the seats can be reclined as well, although it's not that much. And even though I'm a very tall guy, I'm over 1.90 m, it's still good enough for me. At the moment seats do face each other, you find in general a bigger table in between, and within this table you find a power socket. At the end of the open compartments, both at the upper and the lower deck, but also in the first and the second class, at both sides you will find screens that will host route information. Because no train tour is complete without doing a toilet review, at least if I may believe all the other YouTubers, this here is a toilet at the upper deck. It's not that spacious. I mean, it's okay though, and I'm a very tall guy, like I mentioned before. But these are definitely not the most spacious toilets I ever had on a train. The toilets at the lower deck though, they are a bit more spacious, as you can see over here. I didn't film in the special disabled toilet, what is way big. Apart from the toilets, within the second class there's a special nursery space for babies as well, as you can see over here. This is really separate from the toilets, and in the first class you also find this, but then it's integrated within the disabled toilet. Between the first and the second class you will find the dining car. It's not really a place where you can go to have a nice sit and drink. It's more like a quick eat and drink place. And you can also order things online, so you don't have to wait in line if you order things over here. Speaking of which, free Wi-Fi is available within these trains. First class comes in a 2x1 configuration. If you recline the seats in the first class, this is fully electric. First class has wider seats, you have slightly more leg room, and it's in general just more space. Also the seats are a bit more comfortable. Just like in second class, there's a footrest, quite a sturdy fold-out table in the seat in front of you, and in first class all seats do have their personal power plug. A reading light and the seat number can be found just like as in second class, right under the luggage racks. Well, I guess you have an impression about these trains, and if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments. I try to answer them as good as possible. For now, I'll show you some views from the train along this route, and I'll get back at you right after that. This train will arrive in Paris at the railway station Gare de Lyon. In Paris you find quite a lot of terminal railway stations, and these terminal railway stations do all serve different areas of Europe and France. However, you can also travel around Paris, and there are some trains that do that. I have some trip reports on that as well, for example between Brussels and Marseille or between Brussels and Montpellier. Paris Gare de Lyon is a main railway station where you find trains to Switzerland, obviously, Italy and also Spain. From here on I continued my way with an RER train to the railway station of Paris North. I bought the train ticket for this local train what is also usable for the metro within the TGV Lyria between Geneva and Paris. This is a very doable connection. From the railway station of Paris North, so Paris North Station, you find trains to obviously the north of France, but also to Belgium, United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and to the Ruhr area in Germany. For other destinations in Germany, you need to use another terminal station, and that's Paris Est, so Paris East Station. I'm right now in Paris, taking my next train towards the border with Belgium. It's a slow train. I make a trip report on that as well. Way more affordable to do travel via this train, by the way. Anyway, once again, I hope you liked it or this has been a helpful video to you. If it was, please give me a thumbs up. Comments, questions, just mention them. And if you want to see more, then hit the subscribe button. See you on the next video. However, before we really end up this video, if you are interested in other trip reports, then of course you can find them on this channel. However, in the description of this video on YouTube, you find a link to a map, and on this map you can find all trip reports. And of course, I'm creating more content, so there will be more lines added to this. See you on the next video.